Okay, reading from the Caitanya-caritamrta. Madhya 8, 247. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Sampattira madhye, jīvera sampatti gaṇi, Rādhā-kṛṣṇe prema yāṅra baḍa dhanī. Śrī Caitanya Mahāprabhu asked, of the many capitalists who possess great riches, which is the topmost? Rāmānanda Rāya replied, he who is richest in love for Rādhā and Kṛṣṇa is the greatest capitalist. Purport: everyone in this material world is attempting to acquire riches to satisfy the senses. Actually, no one cares for anything other than acquiring material possessions and maintaining them. The wealthy are generally accepted as the most important personalities in this material world. But when we compare a material man of wealth to one wealthy in devotional service to Rādhā and Kṛṣṇa, the later is found to be the greatest capitalist. According to Śrīmad Bhagavatam 10:39-2, Kim alabhyam bhagavati prasana Śrī Caitanya tatapi tat pararajan nahi vanchanti kinchana. Quote, what is difficult for the devotees of Lord Krishna, who is the shelter of the goddess of fortune? Although such devotees can attain anything, O king, they do not desire anything. Om Ajnana-timirandasya gananjana shalakaya Chaksur unmilitam yena tasmai Śrī Gurave namaha. Śrī Caitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam yena bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Sa Padantikam Vancha Kalpa Tarubhyascha Kripa Sindhu Bhayevacha Patitanam Bhavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah. Śrī Krishna Caitanya Prabhu Nityananda Śrī Advaita Gadadhar Shrivas Adi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Yeah, just move a little to this side. Okay, that's okay. So greetings from Govardhan. I'll be here till the 27th of December. Very extraordinarily peaceful at this time of the year. There's a certain charm, at least at the dead of the winter and the heat of the summer, where it doesn't seem there's the same level of crowds of people. And it becomes easier to do your regulated devotional service. So I'm quite happy to be here. Of course, we've been studying this story, Rāmānanda's Samvad. I always make the point that this is not siksha, this is Samvad, this is discussion. Although Lord Chaitanya is asking the questions and sincerely, in one sense, wants to be enlightened because he has an objective, and the objective is the internal mission, the antaranga hetu of Krishna in the form of Śrī Caitanya Mahāprabhu is to experience love at the height of devotion, at the love of his topmost devotee at the height of devotion. So love is in the hearts of the Vaishnavas. Actually, this is going to be brought up recently where, after their very esoteric discussion, there's kind of more practical questions. What is the goal of education without understanding the pastimes of Krishna? Education is useless. What is the greatest pain? Separation from a devotee. What is the most beneficial, auspicious thing? Association with a devotee. So Lord Chaitanya exhibits that in his own life, in his development and his goal, which is to get this. And this is also our goal. Our goal is to develop our relationship with Krishna, to understand it, and to nourish it. Everything else is for that. Other things can be important, even so-called external things like health, like family. They can be important, but everything is secondary to the goal. And this is why Lord Chaitanya's question is so important, because his question is, what is the goal, really? What is he wanted a verse, which is the essence of the ultimate goal of life. So the goal, attaining the goal is really the objective. And we have to keep that in the forefront of our consciousness. I think it's too easy to remember things that are means to the goal and really forget the goal. And if you forget the goal, you're not going to have the right practice. That's why sadhana itself, defined by Rupa Goswami and Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, are the activities we use with our senses to get the goal. To get the goal. And I mentioned that in the Shloki Bhagavatam. The third verse is Priyojana, which is the goal. In one sense, in Krishna consciousness, we start with the goal. Pramanda Brahmate Konya Bhagavan Jeev Guru Krishna Pasadi Pai Bhakti Lata Bij. Wandering from universe to universe, species of life to species of life, until by the mercy of Guru and Krishna, we get the Bhakti Lata Bij. And what's the Bhakti Lata Bij? It is an experience, the fructification of which becomes our goal. So this pastime is really important to understand the goal. For example, the first verse he gave is Varnashrama Charavata. There's no way to satisfy me than performing your prescribed duties. But Lord Chaitanya says, there's no other way to satisfy Vishnu than performing. Of course, how satisfying it is when someone acts properly according to God's laws. Lord Chaitanya rejects it as external because it is not the goal. It's not the goal. It's not that it's not important to be situated properly and do your responsibilities, do your dharma, occupational dharma and your social dharma, but it's not the goal. And then it's interesting because it keeps on going. I'm not going to go over. I wrote about it this Monday morning greetings, just kind of a nice summary of this, where I make a point about comparative religion. But when he finally gets to the point where Lord Chaitanya is going to say, this is the, the limit of everything, there's a description, and it's esoteric, but I've extracted something that's very practical from it. It's esoteric. Even in the purports, Prabhupada said, this is for liberated people to actually delve in and really understand it deeply. We can understand it basically, and we don't discuss it too much, but it's that union of Rādhā and Kṛṣṇa where their hearts melt in devotion. To such an extent, they're so focused on the object of their love. Their meditation is so deep on the object of their love that they lose sense that they even lose sense of who they are. They're in union. But the point is, spiritual life, the efficacy of any process of spiritual life, the efficacy of our meditation, our japa, our life, is our absorption. The main principle of Krishna consciousness is to remember Krishna and never forget him. That's the means and that's the goal. It's the means because when we focus on Krishna, it opens the energy of the soul of our true selves, which is service. When we focus on the object of our ultimate love, it brings out our nature, our eternal nature is service. So that's actually the goal. And this exemplifies it in this is the highest reality. The highest reality is this complete harmony between God and God's energy, between Rādhā and Kṛṣṇa. Rasa vai saha. The Tattatiya Upanishads mentions that this is the ultimate reality. This exchange of love at its height, which is called rasa. That's a priyojana, priti, love. And love is the energy that flows between two beings in relationship when they are properly focused on one another. So that's our perfection. When we get out of illusion, and illusion is to see that something is separate from God. That's why I always quote at some place in the Bhagavad Gita, Prabhupada said, when you become Krishna conscious, you become thrilled every moment. Because you're feeling reality. Reality is ultimately love. The world, love makes the world go round. That's the ultimate reality of Rādhā and Kṛṣṇa. And we're part of that reality. It's just Ishad Upe Tasya, Viparyo Smati, Ishad, God, upetas, we have turned away. And of course, turning away from God is not a physical matter because God is everywhere. It's a matter of consciousness. It's a matter of illusion caused by our desire that God fulfills, our desire to be something we're not and not be who we are. Those are the two factors of illusion. Ishadu pe tasya viparyo smati. Then we forget, we become under illusion. And that's basically what worship means. Worship means to turn initially by obligation and ultimately by love. Spiritual master is expert in finding the ways and means to engage the disciple in devotional service. So that's our objective, our goal. And what happens after that, once he understands the goal, it's again here, the same thing. Once he understands the goal, just thinking Prabhupada gave Krishna book at the very beginning. He gave that 10th canto at the beginning. He wanted to make sure that the devotees of the Hare Krishna movement had a realized and authorized version of the ultimate objective. Radha Krishna's pastimes, Krishna's pastimes. So then he asks, well, what is the sadhana or what is the practice? And there's two elements of that practice: the mood and the remembrance. We have to get something internal in our hearts. And to the extent it's lacking is to the extent we have to pray for it. And to the extent that it's there is the extent we have to pray for it. The mood and the remembrance. The mood of our relationship with Krishna and the remembrance of Krishna's pastimes in relationship to that mood. And the remembrance of Krishna's pastimes in relationship to that mood is remembering Krishna as the object of that mood, and to remember the devotees as the object of our desire to have that mood. And then, so this is what Lord Chaitanya came to give and to show us. And therefore, it's very important to hear about Krishna's pastimes. Prabhupada told his disciple Vishal, if you always read Krishna book, you'll be happy. Because happiness is love, and this is what invokes love. Especially in the discussion and association with like-minded people. I'm sitting here in this seat. I sit in this seat a lot. I actually even sleep in this seat. Strange as it can be. I have a beautiful bed and I just somehow. But sitting in this seat, it's just been fortunate. It's been fortunate. And this is going to come up. This is the most important. It's unfortunate, the great souls. Again, that devotee, Jamuna Jiva, an extraordinary Vaishnava, he came to see me. And Giriraj Swami, and Bhurijan Prabhu, and Parthasarthi Goswami, and Mother Yasomati. Just extraordinary devotees that who have this, they're fixed. They are fixed on that objective. And they'll do other things. They do their seva. Seva is so important. Seva is the expression of that mood. It's so important. The other day I went into Vrindavan for a few days. I get my glasses at Mukherjee Optical, spending $50 instead of 500. To me, they're just as good. And to give class to the few devotees there that I know in my room. And just, I don't know, I've been there, yeah, I lost track, I get that, but anyway, and to see my friends, because I've been there, I figured that I came to Vrindavan before like 80% of the town was born. And just see the people I know there is nice.
Thinking of the
what?
Where he went to animal talk?
What?
The young devotee at the temple he went to? Want to say that?
Oh yeah. So I wanted to go once to Titiyastan, where they preserve Vrindavan as they do 500 years ago, and they have their Drupada Kirtan. And so I went to the Artik, that beautiful sand temple room. The sky is the ceiling, this thick sifted sand. The sadhus spend most of the day cleaning the sand. But somebody was kind of like, I was surprised. He was only 26 and he was educated. Was sitting outside, and he came to see me, and Rita was with me, and appreciated that we were wearing this cloth, and everybody else is in pants, but the people in pants have more bob than I do in my cloth, because these people are so pious. But he was talking to me, and I was interested. So because usually it's these places they more like like a nunnery. The mean age of the nuns is like 80 years old. To find some young ones, but some young people. And it was a nice mood. I said, "How did you come here?" He said, "No one comes here without the mercy of Kishoraji." He felt that. He was called for it. And I said, "And what is your activity?" He said, "Seva. The main thing is seva." And I said, "What about your bhajan?" He said, "Oh, well, we're not doing seva. We have some time to do bhajan." Seva. Bhakti is best expressed by seva. Loving responsiveness to the Lord through the faculties of the mind, body, and words. Anyway, it's all connected, but this mood and this remembrance, he says, of Krishna's pastimes. And not just an external view, but to understand the consciousness that's creating these forms, which is devotion. And then what happens is Rāmānanda Rāya, Lord Chaitanya is leaving, and Lord Chaitanya is very attached to that Sanga, because that's where that energy manifests. That's where that energy manifests of devotion. It's in the Sangha of devotees. and what to speak of such a devotee. So he says, please stay another 10 days. Of course, Lord Chaitanya's response, why 10 days? He's going to tell him later, you drop everything and come to Puri. Let's continue this. Let's continue this. We don't want it to end. Vayam natu vitriptatma uttama shloka vartate yatrindvatam vasagyanam swadu pade. We never become tired. Uttama shloka vartate, of repeating the shlokas. This was about the shlokas, recite a shloka of the uttama shlokas, the verses which are expressing the topmost thing, which is love of Godhead. We never become tired. Yatrinvatam, when we hear rasa jnanam, this discussion of this type of love, swadu. Today, again and again, every step we're tasting, swadu is like sweet rice, is swadu. The swadu, this taste, we're drinking it. Don't leave. And then they begin to discuss, and they continue to discuss. And then to fortify the fact that this is the goal, he starts asking basic questions, and the answer is the goal. I remember visiting a Kinshana Krishna Das Babaji. Prabhupada said was this Kinshana, no desires, Paramahamsa. And whatever question you would ask him, he was Paramahamsa. It didn't matter what it could be, mundane or I remember one person was very attached to his daughter, and somehow the GBC, no, you should send the daughter to Australia to the Gurukula. It was the same Vishal. So Vishal was very disturbed. So he went to Krishna Das Babaji, and his daughter was named Vrindavaneshwari, and said, they're asking me to send the daughter here. What's your opinion? He said, the moon of Vrindavaneshwari should never leave Vrindavan. He would answer every question with, every question he would answer was basically chant Hare Krishna. But anyway, what is the goal of education? What is the goal of education? Hare Krishna, ultimately. Dharma svinushtita pumsa viviksena katasa inopedi. Even dharma done properly, if it doesn't lead to that rati, that goal, if it doesn't lead to that goal, shrama evahi kevala. Again, it's not that it's not important, but it's not important if it's not connected to that goal, whether it's to keep the body and soul together for that goal. So he answers these questions to show, to fortify what he's been talking about. That there's an ultimate reality, and the goal of life is to achieve that. So then many capitalists who possesses the topmost riches. The greatest wealth, the greatest who possesses sampattira, the riches among sampattira madhye, of the living entities who possess riches. Prabhupada translates capitalist, so practical. Kaun, sampatti, gaṇi. What is the greatest wealth that we accept? Rādhā-kṛṣṇe, prema. Rādhā-kṛṣṇe, prema. Of those, say he, baḍa dhanī. Baḍa dhanī. That's a common phrase in Hindi. Dhanī admi, a very wealthy man. One who possesses love. One who possesses his relationship with Krishna. That is the greatest wealth. And I always quote Aristotle, happiness is the goal, it's never a means for anything else. If someone said, no, this is the goal, Aristotle will say, no, that's the means for happiness. The goal is always happiness, but in the Gaudiya Vaishnava philosophy, the Ladini Shakti, the essence of it is prema, is Krishna prema. That's the essence of happiness. You know, in this world, which is absolutely crazy, and it's probably more crazy than we know. And hopefully we're too busy in our devotional activities and our work and our family to investigate too deeply what actually is happening in this world. It's absolutely insane. But insane and more insane. Especially, you know, if you live on the internet, you live in this false world. I never watched this movie, but someone sent me an article describing that the world is becoming like the Truman story. I never saw this movie. I never knew what it was, but I looked it up. And it was this guy wanted to make a great television show. So he created, probably know the story better than me, he got a child from birth and brought him up in a movie set. He made of this whole, he made a whole thing with a dome covering it where he could, and just to see this person was the only person, that everyone else was actors. Very interesting story. I'm almost tempted. I don't have Netflix. I don't see movies. I'm almost tempted to get this movie. It sounds so interesting. And so it's increasingly, that's what's happening to us. The internet creates this reality to us. There was one documentary I did see called The Social Dilemma, which showed the sophistication in which the social media controls your mind for the purpose of marketing their products. It's very sophisticated. The information they have on you and the understanding, therefore, of your psychology, and therefore they can control your behavior. If you watch it, it's actually scary, The Social Dilemma. So the internet creates this world that people live in. And Vijalpa for Vaishnava leads to Vaishnava aparad. So it's basically a world of Vaishnava. We're using it for this purpose. It's good, but it's very dangerous. I'm just saying, in this world, you know, we have to get a perspective and reality of our relationship with Krishna. We have to get a perspective. Otherwise, we're going to get caught in this world, which is so unstable. And if it's not one problem, it's another. And therefore, Bhaktivinoda Thakur said, this temporary material world is full of suffering. Take shelter of the holy name of Krishna as your only business. So who possesses the most wealth? Who has this love? And he just explained how to get this love. The practice of Krishna consciousness. What we are doing here is part of getting that love. Text 248. Dukkha madhye kon dukkha hoy gurutara. Krishna bhakti viraha vina dukkha nahi deku para. Śrī Caitanya Mahāprabhu asked, of all kinds of distress, what is the most painful? Śrī Rāmānanda Rāya replied, apart from separation from the devotee of Krishna, I know of no unbearable unhappiness. Purport, concerning this, one second. Concerning this, the Lord states in Vedic literature, Mam anurajya dukhartara kutam bhasaka manasa satsangarhito martyo Rita seva parichuta. A person who does not worship me, who is unduly attached to family, who does not stick to devotional service, must be considered a most unhappy person. Similarly, one who does not associate with Vaishnavas or does not render service to his superior is also a most unhappy person. There is also the following statement in Brihad Bhagavatamrita 1.5.54. Svajivanadikam prartyam Shri Vishnu Jana Sangata Vichittena Shanam Chatra the Sukam Sam Labhamahe. Of all kinds of desirable things experienced in the life of a devotee, association with the devotees of the Lord is the greatest. When we are separated from a devotee, even for a moment, we cannot enjoy happiness. So I think this was the kind of the benefit, the strange benefit of COVID. I thought, the Sanga was, was the seat in the temple. At least for a preacher, that was the attractiveness. And the media here, this was the benefit of it. It opened up the Sangha. And not just under institutional control, which would limit it to senior sannyasi like guru, but so many devotees who have a wealth of knowledge are able to share, and we're able to get that Sangha. Sangha, this is so important. Mukta madhye kon jiva, mukta karimane, Krishna prema yāṅra se mukta shiramane. Śrī Caitanya Mahāprabhu then inquired, out of all liberated persons, who should be accepted as the greatest? Rāmānanda Rāya replied, he who has love for Krishna has attained the topmost liberation. One of the 10 subject matters of the Srimad Bhagavatam is mukti. And mukti is defined as muktir hitva. I love this verse. Yata rupam sarupena vivastita. Muktir hitva, you give up. Muktir hitva yata rupam, the other rupam. And as opposed What is liberation? You give up that rupam, that form and identity, swarup, surupena, vivasta, and you become situated in your real form. That's what yoga means. The goal of yoga is to live within the self, always. And that conception is beyond duality. Because when you identify with the soul, by doing the activities of the soul, which is service to Krishna, you become fearless because the activity you're doing and the person who is doing it does not end with the body. When the activities are just in relationship with the false ego, the activity you're doing and getting attached to, and the person you think who's doing it that you're attached to, which is the false conception of the self, the yatha rupam, the designated material, then there's so much duality. Bayam dutviya. From that arises so much duality. So he who has love for Krishna. Purport in Srimad Bhagavatam 6:14-5, it is said, Muktanam api siddhanam narayana parayana sadurlabha vashantatma kotish api mahamuni. O great sage, of the many millions of liberated persons and of the millions who have attained perfection, he who is devotee of Lord Narayana is very, very rare. Indeed, he is the most perfect and peaceful person. Message, we should not forget our wealth. Gana madhye kona gana jīvera nijadharm rādhā-kṛṣṇe prema keli ye gītera marma. Śrī Caitanya Mahāprabhu next asked Rāmānanda Rāya, among many songs, which song is to be considered the actual religion of the living entity? Rāmānanda Rāya replied, that song describing the loving affairs of Śrī Rādhā and Kṛṣṇa is superior to all other songs. And I quote that verse, Evam vratasva priya nama kritya. When you chant the names of your beloved Lord, that creates the greatest connection with that name because it's love and the greatest feelings and the greatest absorption. That's our process. So those songs that describe our Ishta Dev, Ishta, the desirable God, the one we want. Purport, as stated in Srimad Bhagavatam 10:33-36, Anugrahaya Bhaktanam Manusham Deham Astita Bhajate Tadrisha Krida Yashrutvat Tatparo Bhave. Lord Krishna descends apparently as a human being, and he exhibits his transcendental pastimes in Vrindavan so that the conditioned soul may be attracted to hearing his transcendental activities, end quote. Non-devotees are strictly prohibited from participating in songs celebrating the loving affairs of Radha and Krishna. Unless one is a devotee, it is very dangerous to hear the songs about the pastimes of Radha and Krishna that were written by Jayadev Goswami, Chandidas, and other exalted devotees. Lord Shiva drank an ocean of poison, but one should not imitate this. One must first become a pure devotee of Krishna. Only then can one enjoy hearing the songs of Jayadev and relish transcendental bliss. It really describes the erotic, the spiritual erotic of Radha and Krishna. which can't be heard unless one's consciousness is free from the prejudice of projecting the consciousness behind the similar forms we have in the material world of boy and girl, and we falsely project it on those activities. Only then one can enjoy hearing the songs of Jayadeva and relish transcendental bliss. If one simply imitates the activities of Lord Shiva and drinks poison, one will certainly meet with death. The talks between Lord Śrī Caitanya Mahāprabhu and Rāmānanda Rāya are meant for advanced devotees only. Those who are on the mundane platform and who study these talks in order to put forward some thesis or PhD will not be able to understand them. Instead, the conversations will have a poisonous effect. There's the original thesis, academic thesis on Gaudiya Vaishnavism was written by a scholar called S.K. Day. Vaishnavism in early, Bengal or something. And I had that book and I looked at it and it just such a mundane description of everything. And it's actually dangerous because it gives you this mundane perspective. So, Shreya madhye kon Shreya jīvera hoy sar, Krishna bhakta Sanga vina Shreya nahya. Then Caitanya Mahāprabhu asked, out of all auspicious and beneficial activities, which is best for the living entity? Rāmānanda Rāya replied, the only auspicious activity is association with devotees of Krishna. Purport, according to Srimad Bhagavatam 11.230, Atta Atyitikam Sheman Prachamo Bhavato Naga Samsare Smin Shanardo Pi Sat Sanga Sevadir Ninam. We're asking you to tell us what is the most perfect welfare activity. I think that in this material world, association for devotees, even if it be for a moment, is the greatest treasure for mankind. Okay, I think I was up today. I took a 15-minute nap before class, so I wasn't brain dead. Shamuna Jaya.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, thank you for class. I really love something you said right at the beginning. To don't just remember the means, to remember the goal. And as an asana teacher, I always remember that people get stuck on the means, which is, to put your leg over your head, and then they forget the goal. So I really appreciated that the way you put that.
Thank you. Thank you. Haribo. Anybody else like to say hello?
Hi, Krishna.
Yeah.
Can I ask?
Yes, you may.
Okay, I have two things actually. So you said, as often you do say, that I think you said the essence of Hladini Shakti is happiness. Is that how you put it?
No, I said the essence of happiness. Hladini Shakti is happiness potency. It's the pleasure potency. And the essence of that is love, Krishna prema. That's what I said, or meant to say.
Okay, so the essence of Hladini Shakti is love.
Krishna,
right?
love of God, yes.
Yeah, so is there a difference between saying that and simply saying Hladini Shakti is love? In other words, if you leave out this word essence and you simply say Hladini Shakti is love, what would be the difference, if any?
Well, pleasure is a more generic term.
No, but okay.
Yeah, pleasure is more a generic term. And
but I'm not using the word pleasure. I'm just omitting this word essence. If you simply equate Hladini Shakti with happiness, what's the problem there?
Because it doesn't say what the happiness is.
But if you add this word essence of Hladini Shakti,
yeah.
You see, my problem has been for many years this word essence, So
essence means the quality which cannot be taken away from something.
So the essence of Hladini Shakti is love.
The essence of water is liquidity. The essence of sugar is sweetness. If I give you something, it's not sweet, it's not sugar. If I give you something, it's not liquid, it's not water.
Okay, I'll have to think about that. And then the other question I had was, this, how should I say, comparison between bhajan and practical service, depending upon, the particular lecture I'm listening to, sometimes, it'll be said that there, bhajan is service, very often practical service seems to be put above bhajan, and it sounded like it sounded that way in this lecture also,
Let me say it in a way that you won't get that misconception. Bhakti is best expressed with seva, which is loving response to the Lord, because that's the object of love, through the faculties of mind, body, and words. Ihayasya harer dasye karmana manasa gira. So it's the consciousness behind them. That's the real depth. But bhajan refers to more like a deep spiritual practice of meditation, etc. And Prabhupada said the goal of life is Rādhā-kṛṣṇa bhajan. But it means just, the focus in a deep way. But it's work, service, and Prabhupada defines bhakti as devotional service. So the devotion is expressed in that service, and it can be expressed in thinking of Krishna, can be expressed of chanting Krishna, it can be expressed of doing some so-called practical service. But I don't think you necessarily have to make a distinction between them.
Yeah, depending upon the consciousness, right?
Yeah, of course.
Because in that story with the, the story that you told earlier.
He made a separation between that. He did make a separation between that. Yeah. I guess, the difference there would be is that the practical service is for others, and the bhajan is for yourself. Just like Lord Chaitanya, his mission was divided in his antaranga hetu and his bahiranga hetu. Is the external cause is what he did for others, and the internal cause is what he did for himself. But it's really not in that way. It's because what you do for yourself is really for Krishna, and what you do for others is also for Krishna.
Mm-hmm.
So there's not that much distinction either.
Yeah.
Okay, Gail. Anybody else have any reflection or like to say hello?
Thank you very much, Maharaj. This is Krishna-katha. And thank you greatly for two elements, mood and remembrance. for me, it's the key to my japa.
Thank you so much. Haribo. Great. Great. Anybody else like to say hello?
Hare Krishna Gumaraj, Tota Gopinath here.
And Kishore Radha.
Haribo. See you soon.
Yes.
Okay, great. Anybody else?
Hare Krishna Maharaj.
Hare Krishna Maharaj.
Hey, wow, you finally allow me to see you there. Great to see both of you.
Thanks very much for the class.
You're letting me into your little kutir there. Okay. Okay, great. Haribo.
Haribo.
Wonderful to see you both. Good. Anybody else?
Hare Krishna Gumaraj, this is Lal Govinda. Thank you for class.
Haribo.
Haribol.
Still following Chaturmasya.
I'm working on it at some point in time.
Anybody else? Okay.
Hare
Hare Krishna Gurudev.
Śrī Caitanya Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Maharaj.
Okay. When I get back, I'm going to do one program on I think one program I'm doing on a Saturday and one I'm doing on a Sunday. So I hope one of those days coordinates with your work schedule. We'll see.
And my husband will be here in April as well. So
When will he be here?
April, he comes I think 28th of March till 20th of April, something like that.
Oh, okay. We'll have to organize something together. That would be wonderful.
Yes.
Oh, thank you for telling me that. Okay. Anybody else?
Hare Krishna Guru Maharaj, this is Brajrade.
Rajrade, Haribo.
Hare Krishna.
Your house is being built now?
Not yet, Maharaj. It's still in the process.
You're still living at your house?
No, we are living in the rented house.
You rented an apartment
Yeah.
and the house is being built now?
Yeah.
Okay. When will it be finished?
Maybe April.
When? April, you said?
By April, I think.
I think it'd be great. You'll have some extra rooms there. Vaishnavas can visit. That's nice.
Yes, Maharaj.
Okay. Anybody else say hello?
Hare Krishna Maharaj.
Hare
Surya
Krishna.
Radhika here. Thank you so much for the class.
Hey, Haribo. Sorry. Is your
Thank you very much
daughter,
for the.
is your daughter nursed back to health yet?
Yeah, she's much better now. All right.
She seems so happy to be staying with her mother.
Yeah, I'm so happy to be here with mom. Yeah, and I'm happy. I'm very happy. Thank you.
Okay, great. Anybody else say hello?
Haribol Gurudev. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna.
Hello, Hare
Thank you.
Krishna.
Thank you very much.
Thanks. So nice you come to classes here now. Good. Anybody else? Okay, I take rest now. Soon. Okay. Vanchakalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhu bhayeva cha